And yeah, welcome to today's TrustTech Demo Day. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Hani Azam. I have my day job as a VC working with Propeller, and I'm also the co-founder of Viaca, and I lead Viaca's capital efforts. We have one of our pillars, which I'll discuss, called Viaca Capital. So I'm really delighted to have all of you join us today. Before we dive into the pitches, I'm sure everyone's super excited to hear from these four exceptional founders we have today. I want to just take a quick moment to introduce Viaca as well as our generous sponsor. So, for those of you that haven't interacted with Viaca yet, we have an angel network as well as a global platform that connects high-performing founders, investors, and professionals across the world who share a tie or an interest to the Middle East and North Africa. Um, our work is really centered on three main pillars. We have Viaca Connect, Consult, and Capital. So Viaca Connect represents the community aspect of what we do. We have over 3,000 people in our global orbit. Today we have roughly 7 global hubs or city chapters. And actually later this year in Toronto, we're also going to be hosting our first really large conference called MENA Rising. We're expecting 150, 200 people to join us there. We've got a day full of great speakers and programming. So I'll share a link for those who are interested in joining us for that later this year. On the consulting side, the fact that we have this large network and community really allows us to leverage exceptional global talent connected to the region to work on ecosystem building, supporting exceptional founders, helping facilitate the flow of capital and expertise. So we've been really lucky to partner with some great founders and organizations on this consulting side as well. And lastly, Viaca Capital, which is the main thing we're focused on today, really helps us connect the great founders that are in our community with investors that we know. So demo days like today's are central to this. We've probably done a dozen of them over the past few years, and participants have gone on to raise pretty significant seed rounds, Series A. I think something like 60 or $70 million have been raised by startups that have pitched at demo days like this after they've gone through it. So we're really excited to always see participants go on to bigger and better things. We also have an angel syndicate, as I mentioned, as part of Viaca. Today we have about 60 angels across the world that invest with us. These include current and former VCs, founders, operators, and service providers in the tech and startup space. And this is something we launched earlier this year, and we're closing our fourth investment now. So really excited to continue to stay active and get more active through that as well. Before I kick off the event, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you, and then the floor to our gold sponsor, Taft. If you haven't interacted with Abe and Taft yet, they're a leading law firm with deep expertise supporting startups, venture funds, and high growth tech companies. Abe has been a longtime Viaca member. He's a venture capital attorney at Taft, based in Chicago. Taft's work covers the entire US, and Abe has been an amazing supporter of what we do at Viaca for the past 2+ years. So really grateful to him. And Abe, I'll just turn it over to you if you want to say a couple words about yourself and Taft's work.
Sure. I don't want to steal the spotlight here, so I'll keep this quick, but really excited to kind of tune in and listen to all of the cool pitches that come on. I've had a pleasure of working with a lot of people here, so there's a lot of familiar faces, which is great. And always, happy to support the network, however you guys need.
Thanks so much, Abe. Yeah, really, Abe as a person and from his work, cannot recommend him highly enough. So we're really grateful to have him and to have Taft's support. So let's get to the event. You're going to hear from 4 very exciting startups today. They're all early stage, but we have a bit of a range. So we have some folks who are quite early, on the pre-seed, getting an MVP out stage up to some companies that are slightly more mature, have already raised some venture funding and are more in what I would consider to be seed. For each pitch, you'll hear about 10 minutes from the founder and then feedback from our jury panel for the subsequent 10 minutes. And I'll be keeping time and kind of keeping us moving along. If you're in the audience, I know we have like a lot of people who are joining who have, very specific industry expertise to this field. So would love to get your input. I just ask that if you have questions or thoughts, share them in the chat so we can kind of keep the conversation moving along, and we'll get to them as a group if there's time left in the allotted 10 minutes. And then otherwise, the founders, I would love it if the founders can go into the chat after they're done and just check out if there are any questions and respond to them there if we didn't get to discuss them in front of the whole group. We're going to have each founder introduce themselves actually when they pitch and when I bring them up, but I want to quickly introduce the jury panel who's joining us today. So I will start with what you guys see here on the screen. Youssef Khalad. Youssef is a principal at AlleyCorp, where he has helped build out the firm's economic infrastructure team. AlleyCorp is an early stage investor, and Youssef is based in New York. Next, we have Anton. Anton is a partner at Venture Guides, based in Boston. He leads their cyber practice, and Venture Guides is a very prominent early stage investor in infrastructure software. Bo Ren. Bo is a former colleague of mine from SVB, and she's the managing director of early stage startups and AI go-to-market strategies with Silicon Valley Bank, also based in New York. Amy is the head of content and community at Tola Capital. Tola is an early stage fund currently focused on startups in the enterprise and AI software space. And finally, Will Lehmann, who's the founder and general partner of StepFunction Ventures, where he's a first check investor in the future of enterprise software. So we're really grateful to you all for your time. I know Amy needs to drop at around 12:30, so we'll see if we have wrapped by then. But just want to mention that up front. And otherwise, thank you all so much for joining, and really looking forward to getting your input and feedback for these startups. Without further ado, I want to get things started. And so I will ask Carl from Frontier Zero to come up here. I'll pin your video, and then I'll start the timer for you to give us the first pitch.
Carl, I think you might still be on mute.
Yep. Go ahead, Carl.
I was, yeah. Sorry, I just realised. Great start. So, thank you for your time today, guys. Really appreciate the introduction, Hani, as well. So, very quick background to Frontier Zero. So, we are a SaaS cybersecurity solution aimed at helping organizations control their SaaS visibility. So, what's happened over the last 3 to 4 years is that SaaS has become predominantly everywhere, but organizations are not tracking their actual SaaS users. And in terms of IT don't really see that, because the businesses are now actually using line of business SaaS rather than just going into the centralized SaaS. And the biggest problem is that the threat actors are now focusing on identities. And you'll see the most recent threats coming up, where these are all identity-focused breaches, where they're going into a user and they're able to taking every user and using the information to actually disrupt businesses in terms of data, taking data out, ransomware attacks. It's actually affecting, I think, JLR, Jaguar Land Rover, had just announced yesterday that they've got another 2 weeks of shutdown. So organizations are being heavily affected by these SaaS breaches. What the problem is that organizations haven't really adapted to understand what their problem is versus what the SaaS provider's problem is. The SaaS provider's goal is to give you access to an environment, but they don't care if it's an internal user, an external user. They don't care where they log in from the device. They don't care if it's used, and they don't care if it's MFA is enabled. That's not their problem. That is the problem of the organization, and organizations currently aren't tracking that. What we're looking at providing is helping organizations understand who has access to what applications from a SaaS perspective, when and from where. And it's really trying to identify what we call a pattern of life. Once we understand what's normal for a user, it's really easy for us to understand what's abnormal. So when something abnormal happens, we can alert the organization to reduce the chances of them being compromised. By that, if I were taking, I'll choose Will because I can see him clearly on the screen here. But if Will was a user in an organization, most organizations just look at the applications. We look at what applications Will has been given access to, what device he has access to, what browser, what VPN, what location he uses it from, what time of day, what third-party apps, what admin privileges. We then start to understand what is normal for Will. So now we know what's normal. We combine that information with what we have. We've got access to over 20 billion dark web records. We can pull it from different sources. But then say, well, was Will part of the Salesforce breach? Has he changed his password, let's say for HubSpot, or has he left it there? We pick up the fact that Will, for his Microsoft login, is still logging in from, I'm assuming, Boston. And then for his HubSpot login, we've got a login from somewhere in Nigeria. One of those is wrong. So we're pretty sure his account's been compromised. So we have a visibility of individual users, and we're able to understand that. What's different between us and everyone else is we take a holistic view of Will. It's not one application, it's all of his applications, it's all of his identities, and understanding what Will does as an individual. So it's really giving organizations a single pane of glass to understand those patterns of life, and then using the AI to understand, okay, then, is Will normally downloading 5 documents a week? And is he gone from 5 documents a week up to 50? If he's now downloading 50 documents this week, that normally means he's leaving the company. So we're able to alert something's changed in his pattern of life. Because we look at all of the SaaS applications, we also found that we're able to provide NIST, GDPR, multiple compliance regulations to give people to simplify compliance and make it much quicker for organizations to be ISO compliant and things like that. Also, there's no agents involved. Nothing's installed on the user's device. It's all done from centralized location. And the final bit from our third customer, we saved 40% of their SaaS license costs because we understood that only 10% of their users were actually using certain SaaS applications. So the solution's designed to give you and help you understand internal, external, and applications, what's actually being used, and also how it's being used. And the more important bit is how it's being used. We already have over 60 integrations. We're growing that. It takes us on average 3 days to add a new integration, everything from Microsoft to AWS to Apollo to HubSpot. The list goes on, Asana. So we're finding more and more applications. And whenever we get new clients on board, we are happy to engage custom integrations as well with our clients as well. How we protect our story is we're all about trying to focus on pulling in the application data for the client, analyzing the data, picking up new threats, new misconfigurations, and updating our threat database. The stronger, more powerful our threat database is to share with our community, the bigger our moat. So the more we can protect ourselves about coming in from other parties, because we're constantly looking for those new misconfigurations, those new issues on a regular basis. What the market looks like from our perspective, it's big. We're focused primarily on English and Arabic-speaking languages, but it's trying to target realistically, it's the CISOs. What we've established is that organizations who don't have a CISO don't understand the problem and don't care yet about the problem. So we've established that the right person to engage with is always the CISO. So we've got a very clear go-to-market on getting the CISO. what's interesting for us is the space we're in is really, really hot. If you look at what's happened over in the last 9 months, you've had Adaptive Shield being purchased for $300 million, 21x on their revenues. You've also had Surrey Data recently purchased by Fortinet for 100 million, again, 20x on their revenues. So the cybersecurity organizations are seeing that they have a gap in their capabilities. So they're now buying organizations like ours to fill that gap. And it's becoming more and more evident. Actually, can I get back? Sorry. Something critical about what we're doing from our perspective, though, one of our biggest value props is we deliver value within 15 minutes. And we have a really unique capability in terms of we're the only organization at the moment in our space focused on adding identity plus the data available about users from external sources. So we're able to reduce false positives in that space. Very quickly, what's exciting for us at the moment, we have 7 clients at the moment globally. We were awarded in June this year the Rising Star Award by the UAE Cybersecurity Council. We've just finalizing our partner network off at the moment. We should have them all closed by October. One of the biggest pieces we've got is we're with Alibaba Cloud in the UAE and Saudi Arabia. We're actually on their stand at GITEX, which is the largest Middle East conference. We're next to Google. So we're expecting 200,000 people in that event. Over the next 24 months, our goal is to hit 3 million ARR. If we hit 3 million ARR, our valuation based on our competition would mean that we're on a $60 million valuation company. We achieve that because if you're looking at OneCom in the UK, they have 70,000 corporate clients. We're working from the executive level with those guys on our strategy. With Alibaba in Saudi Arabia, they have 25,000 clients, and CPX and ServiceNow in the UAE. We're talking a couple hundred clients, each of those. Well, ServiceNow have got a lot more, but in the UAE. But our goal is to try and hit 3 to 4 million ARR over the next 24 months by working through these partners. Finally, myself, last 2 slides. Mohammed Morzi, who is my co-founder, who's sitting next to me, will take questions together. He's an ex-Red Teamer. The original business statement came from Mo. Mo was working for a company like Deliveroo. And what Mo's problem was, he left the company, and a year after he left the company, he still had access to core systems. If he's a bad actor in that environment, he could actually cause damage to the business. And we realized it's not just one user internally, it's internal, external, and applications. Myself, I'm ex-IBM Software AG, 30 years sales experience, 2 startups, 1 exit. And the final slide is that we're currently looking for $1 million for the next 24 months. The majority is being spent on engineering and marketing. And that is my last slide. And I think I'm over by a minute.
Oh, you did great, Carl. Perfect timing. Thank you so much. I will bring the jury's videos up to the screen for everyone. But in the meantime, folks on the jury panel, feel free to just open up and ask questions.
I have a question. So for the types of customers you're going after, what's your assumption around how they purchase cybersecurity tools like this from a reputational perspective? So do they look for local/regional companies, or do they look for companies with a global footprint? Because my sense is that they typically look for companies that might be closer to home.
So our go-to-market is through partners. So we're a completely partner-led sales business. So our strategy is really utilizing the partners network and the partners visibility. The biggest problem we have at the moment is I compete with SentinelOne. SentinelOne can sponsor a race car, we can't. So how do I get access to the CISO? The CISO has already got a relationship with these partners. So we're really clear that it's a partner-led business model.
I guess building on that, I'm curious, for a lot of these CISOs, when they're deciding to partner with you through these partners, do they already have a solution in place, or are you coming in greenfield? And if you're replacing an existing product, what's the big thing the partner leans on to pitch why that CISO should be working with you as opposed to any of the other vendors in the space?
So at the moment, I think there's sort of two answers to that question in terms of why the partners work with us. The partners are finding us valuable because we, what I love about working with Mo, one of the original conversations we had is I said, whatever question I ask you, Mo, the answer is 15 minutes. And he's always come back and found to give business value within 15 minutes. So now with our partners, we're helping them find new customers because we can say, within 15 minutes, Mr. Partner's customer, we can tell you how many of your external, sorry, I'll give you an example. So if you look at what happened with Qantas's breach happened because a call center operative who's based in Manila, his credentials were leaked or stolen or bought. He no logs in from Manila on a Windows device, and suddenly he get a login from Novistock in Russia on another Windows device. It's not him. We can provide organizations a third-party report to say, this is your current third-party organizations who you're working with, and these are your highest risk individuals in those organizations, and also when those things have gone wrong. So we're getting third-party reports on that, plus third-party reports on compliance. In the UK, there's a thing called Cyber Essentials. We do a Cyber Essentials report for these for the partners, and the other one is giving you a dark web visibility of all the information we have around your internal and external organizations, and so users around those. So we highlight who's the highest risk based on multiple things for organizations. So we actually give a free report.
What are some of the actionable insights you're generating from that threat report? Is there like an aha moment in a sales meeting when like the CISO's eyes light up and you're like, wow, I have this many vulnerabilities and here's like 5 things you could be doing?
Yes, I think you've nailed it on that. It's what we push for POCs. That is what we're finding. The problem is that they don't know about the problem. The CISO from JP Morgan back in June, he posted an op-ed, which is beautiful for us, talking about the problem, and CISOs still don't get it. We had a great meeting with PwC CISO, who's now on our board for the Middle East, and he picked up and said, people don't look at this problem at the moment. It's not a thought about problem. The great thing for Frontier Zero is that over the last 3-4 months, all of these breaches have actually been in our space. So suddenly it's escalated from being we're aware of it, but we don't care about it, being we're aware of it, we've got to deal with it. And so the last 3 months have been amazing for us in terms of our number of POCs and the client base we're going for as well.
Yeah, I was chatting recently with actually a CISO of a fairly large money center bank, and this is front and center. This was a front burner issue for them, Carl. They really feel as though they don't have control over their broadly SaaS exposure. I wanted to ask you, how do you ingest the data? Are you building customized integrations? Are you using off-the-shelf connectors?
Well,
yes, I think this is the questions for me. So when it comes to discovery, there are mainly 3 methods. The first one that we already have, which is the direct integrations with the SaaS that you already know they exist. We build connectors for these, and based upon request, if there is an available API or some sort of connector to this application. The other type of discovery, which is the third-party applications that your users have been authorizing access data to. Speak about the Salesforce, SalesLoft data breach that happened. This is the second type of discovery. The third type of discovery would be in that you would need to install some sort of an agent or a browser extension to track what other SaaS people are using. Right now, we are detecting the first and the second type.
Got it. And so did I understand you to say you are building your own, proprietary integrations? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm just wondering, how do you maintain that? And as time progresses and there's more and more SaaS applications that you'll cover, how will you maintain that?
If you look at the basics, they're pretty much cut and dry. Most of them are similar. So there are like a couple of main categories that most apps don't go beyond. And even if there are apps that go beyond this, we are part of our roadmap is to offer custom integrations that do not rely on us pulling data, but the customer is pushing data to us so they can even select what kind of data they want to share with the platform.
This wallet also, where's the exciting thing?
Sorry, Kyle, you just need to unmute yourself.
Sorry, sorry. Yeah. There's one quite exciting piece happening at the moment. The ServiceNow partnership looks exciting for us because ServiceNow are seeing a value add from us because ServiceNow look at the device, the network, but they do not look at the identity. And they're saying they've got a value add from working with us because we highlight the identity risks and they can then remediate those identity risks. So they're actually looking quite excited about how we can work together to go to market in the UAE around that story. So the integrations are becoming more and more interesting for us. So one of our heaviest part of our engineering is actually going to be around the integration team and making sure they're built out.
So you are offsetting then remediation to your channel partners, presumably. Is that right? Or the end customer? Yeah.
So at the moment, that is the model because what we're seeing is they get value from it. And they're actually, so we're working with MSPs as well, and the MSPs want to do the remediation. The other problem we've had so far is that our customers are so varied. We're trying to make decisions for them, and they all want something different. So rather than us focus on remediation, we're looking at the visibility at the moment, and then working with ServiceNow, it takes us into multiple markets really quickly.
Terrific.
I think it's really exciting that you are focusing on partnerships at this early stage. And I put in the chat just what I think might be like better together messaging around like AI SaaS sprawl. If you have that joint messaging, I think that'll really help expand the way that you're working with current customers and want to continue to penetrate existing market. And then if you want to chat one-to-one about the messaging, I'd be happy to.
Absolutely. You're spot on, Amy. Thank you.
Maybe I can jump in with sorry, I didn't mean to cut anyone off. Jump in with one more quick question. Just in terms of what underpins your anomaly detection, can you chat a little bit about, your model or models? Is it ML? Is this AI? How are you going about on the detection front and avoiding the scourge of false positives?
Absolutely. So right now we are at the ML stage. So what we do is that we create a baseline for each user on each application and say this is the baseline for the behavior for that specific person, whether it was around devices, around time of day, locations, and so on. And then whenever there are anomalies detected, we are addressing these anomalies, giving them a score, trying to reduce the false positive. But I think the most important thing is that whenever we build something, I also tell my team, context is king. So for each login attempt, for each action that a user makes, we need to enrich that action with every bit of information that we can get. Because the login attempt on its own does not tell you, is this a privileged user or not? It does not tell you that does this user have any threats related to them or not. So using all of this for each login attempt or for each action taken by the user will significantly reduce the false positives. We also see a big synergy between us and attack surface management tools. So what happened with attack surface management tool is that they find the data and they give it to you as the customer. Hey, customer, go fix them. However, if you have internal knowledge of your existing environment, your existing directory, you can say, okay, this person no longer works for a company. This is false positive. This is a person who recently changed the password. So again, that's an irrelevant finding. Or on the other part of the spectrum, you can say this is a privileged account, so the risk is amplified. So we can help companies prioritize what's important.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. I think that's a great place to wrap the questions.
Thank you, Hani. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Hello, everybody. My name is Osama Lissis. I'm CEO of co-founder of Pound Patch, a cybersecurity international startup. 4.8 million US dollar is the cost of a cyber breach, and 9 months is the average a hacker or a breach remains undetectable. Knowing that for a hacker, we only need 24 hours to get the full control over the company. And the root cause for this is either the company is using hacked passwords, passwords that are known by the hackers, that are already leaked in the dark web, which is, by the way, the number one root cause, according to IBM reports, or the company have like exposed servers that are obvious, that have obvious vulnerabilities. To mitigate that, we created Octoboot, is a next generation threat intelligence platform, fully powered by AI, that allows our clients to continuously scan and monitor the dark web and deep web. When we say dark web and deep web, not only limited to that, but also we cover hacking forums, Telegram channels, private Telegram channels as well, ransomware groups, and even the clear web. And we collect billions of data in order to notify our clients whenever there is a sensitive data. The sensitive data could be passwords, it could be leaked passwords of their employees or their assets. It could be sensitive documents that we collect or identify leaked already in the surface, in the clear web or in the dark web. It could be also exposed assets, maybe domains or shadow ITs that got exposed without the knowledge of the company. And it could be also vulnerabilities impacting their servers or applications. And this is all done in an automated way. And here the unique approach that we created is combining the attack surface management with the monitoring of dark web and deep web. So to summarize or to simplify the approach, we only need the company name from the client. We don't need nothing else. No agents, and nothing to install in the client infrastructure. And only through the company name, we identify all the public domain names belonging to the company, all their IP addresses, all the name of their employees, and even the services that were exposed. And the client receive a notification whenever there is a new exposed assets, and this is to reduce the risk of shadow IT, but also whenever there is like a sensitive or verbose service exposed, the client receive an immediate notification. In addition of that, Octoboot will automatically, in a passive way, but also we will come back later to a more active approach. In a passive way, Octoboot will identify all the used technologies, whenever it's possible, in the exposed assets. And based on the technology that we identified, Octoboot will search in a big amount of databases of vulnerabilities for any potential vulnerability impacting that technology or the version of the software that they are using. In addition of that, for the clients that really require like an active scan or an active vulnerability check, we built an AI agent to do a penetration testing to validate the vulnerability identified automatically through the platform. But also, and this is actually the feature, the most advanced feature that we have today in Octoboot, is the dark web, deep web monitoring. So today we are capable of detecting more than 30 billion passwords per year, leaked in different categories like ransomware groups, like log stealers, like third-party databases. But also, thanks to our advanced AI, we are able also to detect whenever a malicious actor mention our client in hacking forums or in a conversation, and our AI is capable actually of categorizing that mention to identify if it is actually in the context of an ongoing attack or preparing a future attack. And this is done through our AI capabilities. And speaking of AI, today we built a lot of capabilities based on that. So the approach of collecting data, it's fully managed by AI agents that we collected. So we don't need a huge number of threat analysts to infiltrate the dark web or to infiltrate the malicious actors. But in addition of that, even the first layer of analysis is done through AI. So today AI analyzes the passwords leaked, the documents leaked, and even the exposure services in order to give like severity for the incident and give the right actions to the client to investigate. So in terms of numbers, as I said, I mean, today we have more than 32 billion passwords detected in the last previous 12 months. But more than that, we infiltrated more than 25 private malicious actors, and we are fully able to intercept and detect their communications. How we provide Octoboot to our clients? So the clients get like a SaaS subscription, so they pay annual fees. But for clients who wish to have more access, they can get like additional support either forensic investigations, incident response, or even a more investigation for the client. Speaking of clients, today we have clients in many sectors, like big four companies. EY and Deloitte, they are some of our clients. And the use case of Deloitte is very interesting because actually they use Octoboot to generate reports for their clients in the context of red teaming. So you can imagine that they get like a full report of the exposure of their clients in less than 5 minutes, which before could take more than 10 days to analyze the data, the exposed servers, and to get like the first entry points in a red team project. But in addition of that, we have clients in the energy sector, like Capco in Qatar or Dalkia in France. We have telco operators. We have banks and financial institutions, insurance in Europe, Africa, and Middle East. And I'm happy to share that today our clients are in more than 34 countries in Middle East, in Europe, and in Africa. But also we have an interesting pipeline. Today we have an actual pipeline of £4 million with clients again in Middle East and in Europe, including insurance, government agencies, public sector. And if we were, I mean, I'm proud that we started with a team of 3 talents in 2021 from a small office in Tunis. Today we are an international company. We moved our HQ to London this year with a team of 30 engineers around the world with offices in Tunis, in Paris, in London, and team in Cairo. But also we have business partners and distributors that represent our services in the US, in UK, in Middle East, and around the world. And I'm happy also to share that we maintain a growth of 200% every year. The only year that was an exception was last year because we make our first raise, fundraising, and we made our first fundraising last year. So we had to restructure the company, but we complained, the growth. I want also to share that the company is profitable since 2022. So we are already profitable since then, making a growth of 200%. Speaking of the competition, I think today with the number of records that I told you per year, we have the more data than any other competitors I'm aware of. And this is actually the feedback of our clients and also our business partners. In terms of pricing, our approach is really competitive. So we make sure that our pricing is affordable to most of the clients. And especially it's fully automated. So compared to other competitors like CyberAngel or Hudson Rock in Tel Aviv, today our approach of collecting data, it's fully automated. We don't need to have it based on the threat analyst that scrape manually and analyze manually the dark web feeds or the Telegram channels or the different channels that we monitor. I don't say that we are better from all of them, but for the automation, it makes really a difference because for one of the competitor, when we did the comparison with the client, they were able to find like 3,000 passwords with minimal risk. Octoboot identified like 20,000, and the most recent one was the same day, which was really very important for the client. And if we were able to achieve this, it's thanks to a combination of more than 40 years of combined experience of the co-founders. Myself, I have a background of penetration tester with more than 30 years of experience in EY and Axions before of that. But I started like when I was 13 years old, 22 years ago. Well, I'm old. 22 years ago in the field. Ayman is an information security expert. Hello, Ayman. He's here, by the way, with more than 70 years of experience in information security. He's the guy that makes sure that we are compliant with regulation, with RGPD, and he's the one responsible of certifying as ISO 27001. And Hakim is our cloud security expert. He's managing the office in France, and he's our CTO, making sure that we are in the AWS marketplace. And by the way, we are raising today 3.5 million pound, mainly especially for the R&D, because we need to make our platform not only a monitoring platform, but especially a predictive CTI platform capable of analyzing not only the data in the dark web, but also geopolitical news, business news, every single type of information that could help the client predict a potential attack. And we are actually building that. We started building that, and especially also to improve our business development and international expansion in KSA and Egypt. Thank you all. If you have any question or you want a full demonstration, we'll be happy to share the demonstration later.
Thank you, Osama. Sure, I'll turn it over to you. Go ahead.
Usama, great presentation and congratulations on building an awesome profitable business, and your client list is extremely impressive. I guess I'm curious about the AI dynamics you mentioned, where most cybersecurity companies right now feel as though they're engaged in some kind of cat and mouse or arms race dynamic between the good actors and the bad actors who are leveraging AI. So I guess I'm curious to the extent you're able, if you could share what you're doing with your AI that allows you to maintain the upper hand against what the bad actors are doing.
Well, I can say, for example, for AI as a first layer, we started by analyzing the big amount of data that we detect. So I give you maybe like an obvious example that we already deployed in the last release. So let's imagine, for example, that the client has like MongoDB or an exposed Elasticsearch database with amount of vulnerabilities. So the first step that we did was analyzing the exposed servers, and this was actually done through an AI that we built. We took an AI model that we hosted in GPU servers that we got, so we're not using any third-party model. In addition of that, after analyzing that, we check also when we have, for sure, I mean, the authorization of the client. We check also if the credentials discovered are recent or no, or are valid or no. And this will actually increase the severity of vulnerability. I mean, imagine, for example, you have like leaked passwords of your Office 365 admin account, and it's valid. I mean, when it's valid, I mean, the risk will be really higher than that. The second point that is very important as well, I mean, imagine based on the technologies identified or based on the active vulnerability identification that we did, the AI actually will analyze the vulnerabilities, will give like a tag if it's, for example, if it has an impact on the availability, or if the vulnerability, for example, allow for a full control of the server, what we call remote code execution, for example. It gives a tag of the type of the vulnerability, and based on the tag, it allows actually to prioritize what vulnerabilities they are, let's say, more important to focus on or no. In addition, for sure, I mean, and then analyzing all those data, give like an executive summary with what actions you need to do and what priority you need to have. Something else that I want to add, and here it's very important, for let's say the exposed servers that were automatically discovered, today we built like an automated AI agent that will try to exploit any web vulnerability on that applications, for sure, depending actually on the authorization that we get from the client, and depending on the, let's say, how deep the AI will try to exploit the vulnerability. And this is something that the client configure in advance. I don't know, Will, if I answered your question.
You definitely answered a good chunk of it. I guess I'm curious. So you gave a lot of very specific examples of things you're analyzing to help you stay ahead. I guess my more general question is, in a world where there's so many freely available models and people are using those to accomplish wondrous results, how do you give yourself an unfair technological advantage? Obviously, the examples you gave, the specific information you're collecting and using that to train AI, I think is one great example, but curious if there's any other methods you've used which have allowed you to stay ahead.
Yeah, I mean, let me repeat your question to make sure that I understood it correctly. So the question here is how we make sure that we are ahead those malicious actors when we are using AI, right? Yeah, well, for sure. I mean, today we have a team of 30 engineers around the world. Out of those 30, 10 are threat analysts. So we make sure that those threat analysts for sure continue. I mean, the check of new technologies, new trending APT techniques, new TTPs used by the malicious actors. Something else, there are another 10 engineers. They are ethical hackers, so they know how hackers think, how hackers exploit vulnerabilities, what is their mindset when attacking an organization. And when we do all of that knowledge, or when we put all that knowledge in the AI model we built, you are able actually to anticipate 90% of the attacks, at least the most critical one.
Super interesting, Osama, and congratulations on building your own model. I'm curious, when did you start building your own model? And presumably, scale and feedback loops is forever improving your model or models. And what I'm really interested in is the sort of accuracy of prioritization. How do you think about prioritization, and how do you stop, just passing on alerts to your end customer?
Well, I mean, to answer your question directly, I mean, we have two approaches. The first one, for sure, I mean, we use some LLMs, but in addition of that, we use SLM to reduce actually, whenever, for example, to reduce the time of response and to make sure, I mean, that we don't consume a lot of waiting time for tasks that require really small knowledge. And in addition of that, to make sure actually that the training is accurate, today, at least for let's say, for example, for vulnerability identification, based on the technology, we identify like 99% of vulnerabilities. Giving tags or categorizing like the type of leaks or breaches in the dark web, our AI today is capable of, let's say, with an accuracy of 80%. We are improving anyway. I mean, in addition of that, we try to collect the feedback of the clients we have to make sure that we improve the accuracy. To come back to your first question, when we started to do that, well, we started like 1 year ago. We invested on our own GPU infrastructure, and we invested in a lot of data scientists and AI engineers in the team. It's still on progress because the purpose is not only like to give a first layer of analysis, but the purpose is to be able to make the predictive part, which is really time and money consuming, and especially resource consuming.
Right.
Osama, I really love your pitch, especially when it comes to the shadow IT piece. I think our head of cyber, Anand, would love to get in front of you to just kind of learn more about the product. I really curious about like the shadow IT piece, just given like the proliferation of company employees bring their own devices, at for example, like we're in a circle of trust, but like we do not get access to Chat GPT, So like when I need to use Claude for editing certain essays or blog posts and stuff like that, I'm bringing my own laptop, and I told our IT guys like it would be safer if you just gave us like controlled gated access to these tools. How are you thinking about like doubling down on that vertical, just given the proliferation of employees, wanting to adopt AI tools, but also having to navigate restrictions from a risk and compliance standpoint? It just seems like a catch-22 right now.
Yeah, very good question, and very good example, by the way. I mean, we found, well, I cannot name the client, even though, I mean, his logo was in the presentation, but for a critical organization that I mentioned previously, one of their employees used his laptop to connect to some of the platforms, including a very critical asset in the organization. And Octoboot actually was able to detect that. In a manner, actually, it's not, because it's not the purpose of Octopu to detect if people are using their own devices or no. But the funny thing that the guy actually got infected his laptop, and with some malware that we call information stealer. And the information stealer, actually, what it does, it collect or get all the passwords saved in your browser, all the sessions cookies that you have, and also take some of the credit cards or some of the files that he got. And the funny thing, we found a critical asset credentials, passwords, leaked on the dark web from his belonging to the company, from his own laptop. So once we raised that to the client, I mean, they got initially they had to block his access and to investigate also what other information he got in his laptop, including sensitive documents actually belonging to the company. And I cannot say more actually as we are recorded, but we helped them actually mitigate a very, let's say, risky situation.
This is more of a go-to-market question, but you had a lot of logos there that were global logos, but it sounds like your deployments are national or regional. Is that right?
Well, it depends actually. Yes, yes and no. We have a focus actually on the UK, France market and GCC. So we try to have our go-to-market approach quite aggressive on those markets. For example, SMEs, we try. It's ongoing, by the way, approach. So we are automating the onboarding of the clients. So we have a huge work today doing to link, make them self onboarding. But for the most, let's say, the biggest clients, the biggest player, it's a question of trust. So we make sure that we have trustable partners. I can say PwC, for example, in Abu Dhabi are one of our partners. We have good partners in Saudi Arabia. One of them actually is willing to have the platform in gray label in Saudi Arabia. We have also partners in France, and for Africa, we keep the approach proactive.
Got it. The reason I ask is I'm curious what percentage of those partners localize their cybersecurity spend versus at some point in time decide to sign enterprise level agreements and consolidate spend.
Well, I can say 80% keep working with local providers. So 80% of the clients you have seen in the presentation, it was through, let's say, business partners in their local market or distributors in their local market. Knowing that this year we started the direct approach. So if you see like 90% of the logos you have seen, they are actually through our own effort. We didn't have a sales team, and the first sales team that we hired, it was like 3 months ago. So we are actually restructuring and putting in place the direct sales approach while keeping the indirect sales approach. I don't know, Youssef, if that answered that fully answered your question.
It does. It does. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Osama.